I remember this slab. So while I'm working, we'll do a little talking and discussing, and I'll go over one of the things that I dislike the most about sawmilling, and that is going to be the amount of slab wood that you end up with. So unfortunately, it's just a byproduct of milling. There's really not a whole lot you can do. When you mill a lot of logs, you're going to end up with a lot of slabs. Now, what you do with those slabs is going to be up to you. There's a lot of things you could do. You can make them into firewood. You could saw them and make them into rough sawn kind of siding for buildings, so you'd kind of get a natural log look. You could chip them up, I suppose, and make them into wood chips for animal bedding, or maybe blueberry bushes or something like that. This can I'll keep. Now, to be completely honest with you guys, some of these are pretty thick. You can see here, I probably could get more lumber out of these if I really wanted to, but it gets to a point where, you know, the more bark you saw through with your mill, the more chances you have of hitting stones, dirt, dulling your blade. So it kind of gets to be a wash. Is it worth getting 1 or 2 2x4s out of something like this when you might dull your blade versus getting, you know, 5 or 6 more cuts on a big log and making 5 or 6 more pieces of wood? Plus, the lower you go, the harder it is to saw it because it's more likely to bounce around on the mill bunks. And it's also harder to secure it down because it's such a small thing. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is just using these, cutting them into firewood. Now, if I was smart, I would have the forks on the tractor and put these on there as I'm milling them. But I tend to try to get more work done in a given period of time, and then I kind of do the cleanup separately on a different day. But let me know in the comments which way you think would be overall more efficient and faster. I'm going to say probably doing it as you go, then you don't end up with this mess that I'm cleaning in today's video. So let me know in the comments, what do you guys do with your mill slabs? Because I'm always looking for ideas. I'm always open to new things to try. I do have a friend that's asked me about giving him some of these slabs because he boils down his sap and makes maple syrup every year. So I've thought about making bundles of these and either giving them away or selling them for a pretty, you know, reasonable price. I was thinking of doing maybe like 4-foot long bundles of slab wood. That way it'll fit into pretty much any pickup, because a lot of the new modern day pickups have small beds, might be 5 feet, 6 feet, 6.5 feet. So, you know, ideally I would do like an 8-foot long bundle, pick it up with my forks and my coyote and load it into someone's trailer. But A lot of people don't have trailers, and a lot of them don't have full-size pickup trucks, so 8-foot bundles would be too big for a lot of vehicles. So if I am going to do it, it's kind of a thick way to make money and get rid of them. I think I'd be better off doing the smaller bundles. Let me know if you think that's a worthwhile idea or not. I'll tell you what, without the Coyote or a tractor in general, this would be a really tough task, be a lot of work. I'll tell you what, some of these might not look heavy, but they're probably 14, 16 inches wide and 2 to 4 inches thick in spots. So, 10, 12 foot long piece, they get heavy. I end up with a lot of these. They're kind of like half boards. They're uniform thicknesses, but they're really not big enough to make any real lumber out of. But I think these would be cool for like signs, making signs for different things. So like I said, I'm always open to ideas. The problem I have is I think there's a lot of cool products I can make with this stuff. My problem is I don't have the time to devote to kind of separating it out, organizing it. Because as it sits, I work full time. I do YouTube. I try to do a couple videos a week. I do my own editing, filming, uploading, responding to the comments. Then of course I have my family stuff that I do off YouTube. So I really don't have a lot of extra time to devote to doing this kind of stuff. Although I think there is a lot of ideas that I could do. Like I said, the signs, the bundle wood. I'd love to sell a little bit more firewood, but I really don't have the time that I wish I did to do that sort of thing. The other thing I gotta get done is I got to make a sawdust collector for this mill. As you can see, I'm stepping on inches and inches of sawdust. So it accumulates. I need to get a bucket or something that I can just hang off the mill, which I've seen a lot of people do. And then I can just dump the bucket in a pile somewhere, a few feet away, 20 feet away or something that's not in my way. Because cleaning this up is a lot of work, period. But when you got pounds and pounds and pounds of sawdust covering everything, it just makes it harder to move around and find the pieces that you need to get rid of. Well, that's a pretty good load. Let's go dump this and then we'll come back and do a little more talking. So another reason that I'm not resawing these into more boards is, as you've probably seen in some of my past videos, I had a few logs that I got and I've been hitting metal a lot. There was at least 2 or 3 logs that hit metal, and I don't remember which of these slabs were part of that. So there's a good chance that sawing one of these and getting 1 or 2 2x4s or 2x6, I'm gonna hit metal again. So for one, let's say 2x6 10-footer, it's not worth ruining a $30 blade. I'd be better off going down to the lumber yard and just buying a 2x6 rather than taking that chance. Let me show you what I mean. See this metal I zip through here? There's one here, one there, one there. You're not always going to remember which pieces had metal in them, but you'll quickly find out. said, there's so much sawdust here, you can't even tell there's more boards underneath. So I'll say this for you guys and girls watching that think you're gonna do milling either to make a living, doing it as a side hustle to make extra money, or to save money milling your own lumber. Yes, those things are all possible. But I really want to emphasize, it's a ton and ton of work. I like to think of myself as a pretty hard worker, and milling lumber, especially in the summertime when it's 85, 90, 95 degrees Fahrenheit, it's not an easy way to make a living, and it's not an easy way to save yourself some money. In fact, here's what I'm going to say. I've been using this mill now for about a year. I got it in, I think it was July of 2022. So here we are, July of 2023. It's been a year since I've owned and used this mill. Done a lot of projects with it. I milled a lot of boards. And if I can give you one piece of advice, if you're thinking about getting a bandsaw push mill of any brand, here's my advice. Don't buy it if your main and only intention is to either save money or make money. I think if those are your main big goals, I think you're gonna end up being maybe surprised is the right word with how much work is involved. If you're looking to make money, you want to be efficient with your time and work less hard. Therefore, I would save your money and get a hydraulic mill. You're gonna spend a lot more money and you're gonna wait a lot longer, but unless you really enjoy working hard, and I mean hard. Here we are, July, it's 85 degrees out today. I'm sweating, as you can see. Yesterday was even hotter, it was like 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's humid as can be. So unless you're willing to put in a whole lot of work to make that money or save some money, don't do that if that's your main goal. If your main goal is to just enjoy doing it, have a hobby, mill for fun, maybe do some of your own projects and be able to say, I milled the lumber for that building and show it to your kids 20, 30 years down the road or your grandkids, that's why I think you should be getting one of these mills. But if it's strictly money based, the reason you want to do it, then I'm just gonna give you a word of caution and rethink it. Watch some other YouTubers that do bandsaw milling with push mills, and you're gonna quickly see that the amount of work involved versus what you'd probably end up making per hour if you figured out all your numbers and your gas and your time. I just think there's a lot easier ways to make your money. You could do, whatever you do for your main job. Let's say you do IT, or you work at a factory, whatever it is. Or you're an accountant. Even if you're a tradesperson, you're a plumber, electrician, you'd be better off working a few extra hours a week and getting some overtime doing that. You're gonna make a lot more doing that than you're ever gonna probably make doing this on the side. So just a word of caution for those thinking about maybe getting a mill. So with all that said, I will say this. If you have a steady supply of really cheap or free help, let's say your kids or acquaintances or friends or whatever, if you have another one or two people that are gonna help you mill, if you have another one or two people that are gonna help you mill, this would be a lot easier with two guys or two people versus just by myself. So that also makes a big difference, how much help you get. I tend to be by myself most of the time, which I don't mind, but it does make things a lot harder. My kids aren't really into this as much, I would say, as I am, and I can't blame them. This is a lot of work. If I was their age and I was a teenager, I probably wouldn't want to be doing this either. But how much help you have and are gonna have going forward is gonna make a big difference with your operation. I'll tell you this, you're gonna find yourself a popular person once you start milling, because people find out you have a sawmill and all of a sudden they have a lot of requests for things for you to mill. However, I've noticed that those same people aren't coming by offering help for days like today where it's 85, 86 degrees Fahrenheit. You're sweating like a hog and you're loading all these scraps in the forks. Where are they then? dump load number 2. Whew. So I got it just about all cleaned up. I have this one big slab left of pine. I remember this slab. I remember cutting this off of my huge pine log that I made the 2 carrying beams out of. I think this was the first piece that I cut off, or one of the first pieces. And I remember how heavy it was, and I just went to pick it up and put it on the forks, and I can hardly pick it up at all. So I'm just gonna leave it here, cover it with sawdust, and it can become part of the earth again as to which it grew. But let's clean up the sawdust and finish up the video. Well, I'll tell you what, that's a whole lot better. And the other reason I wanted to do this, I didn't say it in the video, I don't think, but I want to build a wall in the back here. That's going to accomplish a few things. It's going to block the wind and the rain and the snow from coming in. It's going to give me a nice barrier so that the neighbors, some of the noise from my mill gets blocked so they don't have to hear the mill as much. It's going to look nice, and it's also going to give me a wall to hang tools like cam hooks, chains. So I'm looking to probably do that in the fall when the weather's a little cooler, but I think there's really, I think there's probably people that are thinking you should just do this as you go. It'd be so much easier and simpler, and you're probably right. But I think there's really 2 main groups of thought and 2 types of people as far as that goes. I'm the type of person that I like to go fast, get my work done, get a lot of work done, and then I'll clean up another day. You could argue it's inefficient, but that's just how I am. My father is the same way. Well, I think a lot of people are like that. They make a big mess, but they get a lot done, and then they clean it up after. The other type of person would be more like my brother, who as he goes, he keeps things clean and tidy and puts stuff away. And when he's done, he's done. He doesn't have to go back and clean anything up. But you could argue which way is more efficient, which way is better. Let me know in the comments which way you think is better, and let me know which way you are. But that's gonna about do it for today's video. I am beat, and I think it's time to go take a swim. See you next time. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider checking out these other recommended videos.